As you know, I was on the floor of the House of Representatives a couple weeks ago on this very issue, and it is a very important issue. I would say there's nothing aside from ending the war and the occupation in Iraq. Equally important is to stop the theft of the oil resources of the people of Iraq. Earlier this year, the administration established several benchmarks for the Iraqi government to meet that included passage of the Iraqi Hydrocarbon Act. The Hydrocarbon Act forces the Iraqis to privatize their oil. This past May, the administration and Congress agreed on a new supplemental spending bill to continue funding the war in Iraq, which demanded the Iraqi government show success in achieving benchmarks or lose US aid. The war supplemental would block over $1 billion in reconstruction funds if the Iraqis refuse to comply with the demand for privatization of Iraqi oil. I want to say here and now, this is pure blackmail, and it is against every principle which this country stands for and should stand for. America should never be about trying to steal the natural resources of other countries. And yet we see that this war in Iraq, which was about oil from the beginning, here we see the proof that it was about oil, with the United States government trying to force the passage of this Hydrocarbon Act, which would cause the Iraqi people to lose control over their most precious natural resource. Unfortunately, 2 weeks ago, Congress gave the President another blank check and permitted this blackmail. This administration misled Congress into thinking that the legislation that's in the Iraqi parliament is about the fair distribution of oil revenues. In fact, there are 3 vaguely worded lines about fair distribution, and the law is a 33-page law which creates a new structure to facilitate the privatization of the oil of the people of Iraq. This Hydrocarbon Act will open Iraq's oil reserves to foreign investors, giving them, and not the Iraqi people, the ability to develop the majority of Iraq's 80 known oil fields. The Iraq National Oil Company would control over only 17 of the oil fields. And the way the deal is being structured, many of the undeveloped oil fields, if not all of them, would go to the private for-profit oil companies. This is really a theft, and it needs to be called such, and it cries out for justice. This act of trying to steal the oil resources of Iraq is in itself another war crime. The international law forbids any effort to take or plunder the natural resources of a country which is under occupation or which has been the target of a war. The fact is that what I'm saying is that the wealth of Iraq belongs to the people of Iraq and not these multinational oil companies, and the government of the United States should end the occupation and release any effort to try to control the distribution of Iraq oil resources to multinational oil companies. Congress must stop all attempts by the administration to allow these multinational oil companies to take over Iraq's oil resources. If Congress took that action, that would send a strong message that the United States is not in Iraq to steal the oil on behalf of the multinational oil companies. I'm here to say that another path should be taken, and that path is part of a bill that I've written, H.R. 1234. It is a plan to end the war. Now let me say that for all those who are here and who may not be familiar with the legislative process, we can end this war now by Congress indicating to the President that when the funds that have been appropriated a couple weeks ago run out, that there will be no more money. We simply do not have to provide another bill for funding. If we do not provide another bill for funding, there will be no more money for the war, And so we should start planning now to bring the troops home, to end the occupation, and to create an international peacekeeping and security force which would move in as our troops leave. This is the only way to create the circumstances where Iraq can begin reconstruction, reconciliation, and to create the circumstances where the people of Iraq can once again have their country back. I want to thank those our guests today for your journey and for your commitment to the rights of the people of Iraq, and to having the courage to stand up and speak out. All of those who are members of the Iraq Workers Union have spoken very loudly against this plan for privatization. You've done so at considerable risk, and I salute your courage. I salute your dedication to the welfare of the people of Iraq, your dedication to the future of the people of Iraq, and your dedication to peace. I look forward to us working together so that we can exercise our moral responsibility to rebuild Iraq and to work and live together once again as brothers and sisters. Thank you.